Okay, so this problem could be done a couple of different ways. I don't know, you might want to take notes right here. But I'm going to go with any rule of exponents that you guys tell me. What rule of exponents do you think we could apply here on this particular problem right here? We could take this power that's on the outside of the parentheses and put it on there and on there, right? Yeah. That will give us a 3 squared x squared, which is really a 9x squared, okay? What else could we do over here? We have negative exponents, so we could move those negative exponents down to the other side. And if you're thinking other side of what, go ahead and make this a fraction and move this x to the negative 5 down there and make it an x to the positive 5. Take this y to the negative 3, move it down there, make it a y to the positive 3. So let me rewrite what I have left over right here, down here in front of this 9x squared. And by the way, we are multiplying between the two. So let me put the multiplication right there in front of the 9x squared. And the fraction that we have right here is what's left over up on top? Just the 6. So we have a 6 up here. And on the bottom, we have the x to the 5th, y to the 3rd. And this is a negative fraction. Okay, so let me put that negative out there in the front. So what we really have is this fraction times this 9x squared. And I'm gonna write it better. So there it is. I just rewrote it. I could put this over 1 if I want. I don't have to. What would you guys like to do right now? What could we do right now? Could multiply across?
The 9x squared and the x fit, like those are like terms, so you could get 9x to the 2nd.
This x to the 2nd is up on top. That x to the 5th is on the bottom, which means we could cancel tops and bottoms. Or we could just multiply across the top and then cancel. Since you said multiply, let's just multiply. Check it out. We have 6 times 9, that's 54. And then put that x squared right there with it. On the bottom, we have just the x to the 5th, y to the 3rd, x to the 5th, y to the 3rd. And this answer is negative, right? The answer is negative. Anyway, is there anything else I could do? Yes, I could cancel the x's. There's 2 x's on top that cancel with 2 of these 5. You'll have 3 left over on the bottom. So your final answer is negative 54 over x to the 3rd, y to the 3rd. Okay? And on the practice test, there is no multiple choice answer that matches that. That's why it is none of these. None of these are correct. Now there is a different explanation for it. Actually, not a different explanation, but there's a different path you could have taken. Let's go back to the original. So I just have it right here. Here's the original problem. I am going to distribute the 2 to both of those, and I will end up with 9x squared. And this guy right here, I'm just going to erase the parentheses because there's no real need for parentheses with a minus sign right here. Okay? If I would have had a plus sign, yeah, I'd have to distribute the minus to both terms, but it's not a binomial. It's technically a monomial, 6xy with some exponents. So I don't really need these parentheses right here. So I'm just going to rewrite this thing together as minus 6, x to the minus 5, y to the minus 3. And there was multiplication there. There's still multiplication there. Not only that, between each of these terms, there's a multiplication. There's multiplication there, and right there. It's all pure multiplication, right? So when we look at this thing, I could actually multiply the x to the negative 5th with the x to the 2nd. I could also multiply the nice number negative 6 with the nice number 9. Let's start with that. Negative 6 times 9 is negative 54. And when I do multiply the x to the negative 5th times x to the 2nd, Rule 1 says that you add the exponents. So what would that exponent, when you add negative 5 plus 2, what do you get? Negative 5 plus 2. Negative 3. X to the negative 3, right? And what about the y to the minus 3? We're just going to write it right here. Okay? Do we understand what I did right there? Now, from there, it's just a question of doing any other rule possible, which the only rule left is to move your negative exponents down to the other side. The other side of what? The other side of a fraction. So your final answer will be negative 54 over x to the third, y to the third. Same answer as before, it's just done with a different, I went with different rules, right? So either way you choose, you should get to the same answer, negative 54 over x to the third, y to the third. Not only that, that negative might not be on the 54, it might be out here in the front of the fraction.
Which one do you recommend?
Either way is fine for me. I would either put it as a negative 54 up on top or make the whole fraction negative by putting it out in the front.
Like for the equation, like you know how you did it, like would you recommend?
I got you. Which way would I recommend? The first way or the second way? The truth is they're pretty much the same. They're pretty much the same. It just depends what you choose, what rule pops up in your head first, right? If you're thinking, oh, I see negative exponents, I want to move those down right here from the start, then yeah, this is the way you're going to go. It just depends what rule pops up in your head first. But if you're thinking, well, I'm multiplying, I could distribute and then multiply these guys, then it would go this route. So it just depends what rule pops up in your head. Anyway, there's the long explanation for that one problem, done two different ways.